Okay, so hey guys, and welcome back to another predictions video. And in today's video, I'm going to be predicting the Ortiz Jr. versus Stanionis fight. If you are new around here, then you haven't subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you do need like the video, and let's get straight into it. So, going into this fight, Ortiz Jr. is 19-0 with 19 KOs, and Stanionis is 14-0 with 9 KOs. This fight is for the WBA World Welterweight title. Ortiz Jr.'s last fight was a win via TKO in round 9 versus McKinson, and Stanionis' last fight was a win via split decision versus Batayev. Ortiz Jr. is coming off illness and Stanionis is coming off injury, so neither of them are realistically in the best of steads in the lead up to this fight. I mean, this fight's been made, 3 times now, and it's only just ending up happening. Of course, the first time it got cancelled because of Stanionis' injury, second time it got cancelled because of Ortiz Jr.'s illness, and it seems like Ortiz Jr.'s illness is a reoccurring factor, and it's something that you definitely don't want to be having happen over and over again. And the fact that it is happened a couple times now and it's affected him a couple times is never something you really want to be happening. And from what I've kind of known about it, it might be down to overworking and doing too much, and so I don't know if that's to make the weight or if that's just in general training too hard, but you know, it seems like it is definitely playing a factor in him now. And of course, Stanionis coming off injury, I mean, he's had that little bit extra time to recover compared to Ortiz Jr., but either way, neither of them are coming off the best of kind of year runs, to be completely honest. Stanionis hasn't fought in over a year, so I mean, his injury kept him out, and then of course Ortiz Jr.'s thing kept him out, and so, you know, he's been waiting for this fight, and I respect him for waiting for it, and it is a big fight to be made. He probably could have easily just gone and fought a lesser opponent off a TV card, but he does want these big fights, and he feels like he might as well get them at this point. And to be fair, there's not really a crazy amount of options that he could have had other than Ortiz Jr., to be completely honest, so it's understandable that he's waited around for this fight. Also on this card though is Esparza versus Alaniz for the WBA, WBC and WBO World Flyweight titles, in which I think Esparza will win via unanimous decision. I think Esparza is the overall better fighter. I mean, she has got that loss on her record, but I mean, against Estrada it's understandable, and I think she is experienced these tougher fights, come back from this adversity, and since that loss she's looked even better. She might not have that KO ability or that what Alaniz has, but either way I think Esparza will win via unanimous decision. Back to the Ortiz Jr. Stanionis fight. Ortiz Jr. as a fighter, of course he's powerful. He's got that 19 KOs from them 19 wins. There has been fights, to be fair, that he's just been maybe losing a little bit or not looking as good or confident, and he's just landed a couple big shots or one big shot, and then he's just turned it around like that, and he's got that power to be able to do that, and not many fighters can do that. He's never underestimated an opponent, which I've always liked to see. Like, he could have, in my opinion, quite easily underestimated McKinson. I think he's already fought at that level, and he could have easily underestimated him, but he didn't, and he won convincingly, and it was a great performance. He's also got a great jab. He does everything, in my opinion, that Stanionis can do, but that little bit better. And he's got that great athleticism, great speed. He can, like I said, rely on his power. He has a high guard. He does recover well from getting hit. I don't think Stanionis has really been hit by anything huge, so he's never really had to be affected. Ortiz Jr. has had a couple shots landed in different fights, but he's recovered well. But I think the fact that both of them do have that high guard, and I think they'd rather take a shot to then give a shot than not take a shot and then not hit another shot back as hard or whatever, if that makes sense. And it seems like they both kind of have that, so it means they probably will both get hit a little bit at times, but I feel like Ortiz Jr. has just taken that little bit of tougher shots, but yeah, like I said, he's recovered well every time and never really looked out of his depth at all. Ortiz Jr., he's got that lots of pressure on him. I think De La Hoya and Golden Boy have put that lots of pressure on him, and it's going to prove now if he is going to be able to make that pressure worthwhile. And to be completely honest, if Ortiz Jr. loses here, then Golden Boy has lost a big name in their kind of ranks, and the fact that they've lost Ryan Garcia recently as like a huge name, and he's taking a loss. If Ortiz Jr. also takes a loss, then it's not going to be the best for their kind of whole stable. He's been losing momentum over the last year, in my opinion. I think the illness has definitely not helped, and obviously he got the win versus McKinson, but the illness also kept him out of that fight for a little while, and it meant it had to get pushed back, and I think that is just slowing his momentum down, and it'll be interesting to see what mentality he comes into this fight with, if he's going to be frustrated and angry and wanting to prove something because he's been out for a little while or not been as active as he wants to be, or if he's going to be maybe a little bit, I don't know, dampened his spirits and stuff like that and just not be wanting to give it as all. I don't know. But I feel like his momentum has dropped a little bit. He may be overworking, like I mentioned. He's not been fighting enough. Like I also mentioned, he can force the KO at times. Something that means he can get caught with big shots when he is just coming forwards and putting on the immense amount of pressure, but then not really finding that the power is doing as much as what he probably expects. Then it means that he is going to be at times forcing the KO, and it means he can get countered a little bit. He can be out fought at times, and he does get frustrated if things don't go his way. Of course, that can lead to even more power in his shots, but it can also mean to him being maybe a little bit reckless at times. Stanionis as a fighter, of course, he's been underestimated, and I feel like he's been underestimated in a few of his fights. I think in the Batayev fight he was underestimated. That was a kind of like eliminator for the title, but I believe he is the WBA champion at the moment. I know Spence is the WBA Super, I believe, but I think Stanionis is the current WBA regular champion. But either way, he was still underestimated in that last fight. He still managed to win. He focuses on his game plan, does what he has to do well. He uses his jab to dominate fights. He can outbox fighters. I think that's the only way that he might find success, outboxing in the probably earlier rounds. He's got good defense, throws in combinations, overwhelms his opponents, he's strong and he wants to dominate. And I think just in general, the only way you can really find real success is by outboxing. But I feel like when Ortiz really wants to outbox, he probably could outbox Stanionis, but I feel like Stanionis is just more likely to do it. But like I mentioned, I think Ortiz does do things just that a little bit better. I think he's faster, more powerful, better athleticism, more just overall technical ability, and just heart, desire, all of them kind of things, all the majority, the big attributes, he's got that. And Stanionis can also have lackluster performances at times. He has in a couple of his fights, maybe not in the last one that much, but in a couple of his fights he has. This is of course a step up in opponent for him, and he's got that lesser power, of course, it meaning that he can't just be losing the fight, land one big punch and it turns around. He has to really dig deep if he wants to be able to do that, and I don't think he's had to do that so far, so it'd be interesting to see if he can do that. Of course, it's going to be a fiery contest. I'd say they are similar fighters to an extent. Ortiz Jr. is the favourite for this fight, and I think that Ortiz Jr. will win via TKO in round 10. I think in the earlier rounds, it will be a little bit of a cagey affair. I think they'll both be trying to just suss each other out and seeing who can maybe land the more shots, and then I think later on Ortiz Jr. will be wanting to assert his power, maybe get a little bit frustrated and possibly forced to KO a little bit, but I think he will overwhelm Stanionis and do what Stanionis wants to do to him, but then flip it around and do it better. And I think that's where Ortiz is going to find success and get the late TKO in round 10. And then possible opponents he could go on to fight next. Of course, the Ennis fight would be a huge fight and probably the biggest one in the welterweight division, bar the Crawford versus Spence one. But to be honest, I haven't put Crawford or Spence on here because I know that there's a 2-fight deal. I think that Crawford and Spence probably will both move up afterwards anyway and vacate the belts. So realistically, Ennis is the only real huge fight there. Ennis versus Villa, of course, is this weekend. So Ennis, of course, has to get through that and can't overlook that. Rocha, I put as another option. It's another possibility. Thurman, I've also put as an option. He's highly ranked in the WBA, and so it depends if Ortiz just wanted to keep active and if the Ennis fight is even available, because I know it's PBC and Golden Boy, but yeah, either way, there's a couple options there, but I feel like Ennis, of course, is the biggest one there. But yeah, that is it for today's video. Hope you did enjoy. Like if you didn't, like this, subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.